Y'all saw my video where I was talking about the Latinos talking about we should be included in Juneteenth, which was absolutely absurd. Well, around that same time, Ryan Garcia was busy disgracing himself and completely sabotaging his entire career, where he has now been disqualified, as if he should have already had that happen in the first place now that we knew that he was doping.
You gotta play to win.
But we'll get into that. So basically, he did a Twitter space, and in the Twitter space, he was saying a bunch of nonsense. Sneeko joined, and he started attacking Sneeko, and he started saying that he hates all Muslims. Then he started saying, I hate black people, I hate hard R's. He said we should resurrect George Floyd so we can kill him again. He had other people in there saying stuff for no reason, just popping off. Then he also said, oh, I'm with God, so nothing can touch me because I'm with God, or I'm God. It didn't make any sense. So he's clearly mental, you know what I mean? But I'm not giving him no excuses. We ain't talking about CTE here today. We're talking about the fact that you said all sorts of obscenities and nonsense. You need to be punished for it.
Talking out of turn, that's a paddling. Looking out the window, that's a paddling. Staring at my sandals, that's a paddling.
So it started out with a tweet. He said a whole bunch of nonsense in his space, whatever. And then immediately the next day he deleted it. And then he started talking about how he always just loved black people. He apologized for anyone he offended and taken out of context. There was no possible context that could have corrected what he was saying. It was just disgusting behavior.
Nothing to see here. Please disperse. Nothing to see here. Please.
And of course, now he's on this apology wave, so he decides to post a picture with a black woman. I don't believe for a second that that was a legitimate thing, because in the comments, there's a whole bunch of posts of like black women saying things like, hey, you know, I mean, I always knew he liked black women. He cool with me. He's still fine. All sorts of nonsense. I don't think that's real. I think that's hate farming. I think that's Twitter bot nonsense. I'm not falling for that. I don't believe that there's any actual genuine self-respecting black women that would just decide to give this nigga a shot after all the obscenities that he said just because he posted a picture with a black woman.
This is getting ugly.
Ooh, he's one to talk about ugly. Look like somebody hit him upside the head with a bag of nickels. So ugly last time he went to the proctologist, the doctor stuck his finger down his throat.
This is divisive nonsense where we're supposed to start fighting and be like, oh, black women do this and look at how black women, which I saw some comments doing that too. Idiots falling for the bait. I'm smarter than that. We're not doing that. That's bot behavior. I mean, I feel like there might be some residual hatred there because he lost his fight to Gervonta Davis. He got knocked out. Davis caught him with a really clean body shot and took him a second, then delayed response, then he had to take a knee. The same thing happened to Oscar De La Hoya. I think that's how he ended his career. I think he was holding that. Then he ended up going into a fight with Devin Haney. There was a bunch of popping off before that fight, before everything, and one of the nasty things was he told Devin Haney that he was going to come in and wait. And Devin Haney was like, no, you're not. You're not going to come in at the actual weight. And he said, I'll pay $500,000 for every pound I come in. And of course, he came in 3.5 pounds overweight. Now that you're overweight by 3.5 pounds, he would own $1.75 million. Devin Haney loses the fight, but he still has to be paid, the $1.75 million. They end up coming to some sort of settlement out of court. And I think people said it was to the tune of $600,000.
But why? Why would you do that? Why would you do any of that?
Yeah, he came in at $600,000. Well, Devin Haney's now suing because he's saying, hey, he lost a bunch of opportunities because shortly thereafter, Ryan Garcia was tested positive for a performance-enhancing drug. So he cheated. He was doping in the fight.
I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew.
So not only did you dope, you also came in overweight. And he's having to hold that L.
Oh, hi, Ernie. Hey, I've been sitting here trying to think of what we could do with this here letter L.
So, of course, he was disqualified. So now the win is considered no contest. But Devin Haney is saying, wait a minute, I'm still losing out on opportunities because just the fact that I have a loss on my record means that some people feel like I'm not worth the fight anymore. I think that's justified. So people are saying, well, he has no legal right to sue him. I mean, people get caught doping. That's not whatever. He already got punished. That's not it. You can sue for damages because if my future potential earnings are going to be impacted by the fact that people now consider me not to have a perfect record, I get on paper that it's a perfect record because that loss doesn't count.
You are technically correct. The best kind of correct.
But people will feel that way still, and that might actually impact his money. And if he can prove any sort of impact on his money, like what the typical offer was and what it isn't now or whatever, then I think he has a justified claim. And I think I want Ryan Garcia to catch all the L's that are coming his way.
This is a capital L.
What I want to point out though, noticeable silence from the Latino American community. Why are none of those folks speaking up? They only speak up when they want to be part of a victory. They do not speak up whenever we're going through anything. This isn't going to be devastating to the community. I don't know this nigga. I never really paid attention to no Ryan Garcia. I don't care about him.
I'm sorry, who are you?
That's not the point. I'm not tripping over over who he is. I'm tripping over the idea that whenever we talk about reparations and things like that, Latinos will be the first people to say, no, they don't deserve anything.
It doesn't matter. Get me the manager right now.
You've had it hard. They start competing in the oppression Olympics and all sorts of nonsense. Even in my last video, you had people literally trying to make the claim that it's been a two-way street and blacks have been just as oppressive towards Hispanics. I'm like, hey, I'm completely uninformed about this. I'm never going to say that it can't be. I'm learning so much history as it is now. So I tell him, tell me, what specific things are you talking about? Enlighten me. This nigga refers to the Buffalo Soldiers and says, yeah, when they were fighting against indigenous people and sometimes in Mexico, African soldiers, that was the oppression to the Hispanic. So I'm like, wait a minute, hold on now. I listened to a lot of Bob Marley. So I just went ahead and fired them lyrics right back at him. You talking about stolen from Africa, brought to America, fighting on arrival, fighting for survival? Like, that's the song of Buffalo Soldiers. But historically, what Buffalo Soldiers were people who were conscripted, sometimes against their freaking will, that were dropped off into the middle of a war and then had to fight. And literally, they were fighting for their life. They were fighting to survive. That was it. Like, they were in a war right now. I'm on these people's side, and if I don't fight, I'm going to die. And of course, they just knew that these people had like some superior fighting skills, so that's what they picked them up for. And you're going to use that as an example, these like slave fighters, and you're going to use them as the example of oppression against Hispanics. That's a reach.
Come and see the violence inherent in the system. Help, help, I'm being repressed.
If y'all know something, let me know. Let me know in the comments the times when black people have been oppressive towards Hispanics. As it stands right now, the largest discrimination lawsuit in California is against Hispanics for the way that they're treating black workers in warehouses.
You caught me. No one's ever caught me.
I don't know what you're talking about. We know about hiring discrimination from Hispanics. I mean, I have my own experience with hiring discrimination from Hispanic. I remember going to a temp agency with my Mexican homeboy. At the time, they had this job for medical coding. It was paying a decent amount, whatever. And it was a temp agency. So we go there and they tell me they don't have any opening. You have to do a little piss test, you know, whatever. And then they said, oh, we don't have any openings for that.
Wow, really?
They asked me if I would be one of those people to put on a suit and start twirling a sign. Meanwhile, my homeboy, who's significantly less educated, significantly less skills, specific, way less well-spoken, way less qualified, they were like, yeah, we got you. And they gave him that job. And he told me about it. On the guy rode with him on the ride home. He was like, yeah, they told me that they had it and they just gave it to me. I was in line before him. So I know how Mexicans do. I know how they do within this country. So we're not going to sit here and pretend like this thing has always been a two-way street and you don't have any evidence to support what you're talking about. I'll redo my video about the Black and Brown Coalition because I think that needs updating now that I got better equipment and better sound. But yeah, go ahead and inform me, please, if you got any of that information. As far as Ryan Garcia, because of all the nonsense that he did, his career got completely derailed. Now he's been disqualified. He can no longer box.
Sucks to be you.
I mean, I'm feeling that. I'm feeling that. Tell me what you think. Tell me if you think more should be done, and tell me if you think he should lose that lawsuit to Devin Haney if Devin Haney has a legitimate claim to damages.